Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 3. Yamaraj instructs the messengers, and verse number 23. Namocharana Mahatmyam Hare Pashyata Putrakaha Ajamilopi Yenaiva Mrityupashadamuchyata. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My dear servants who are as good as my sons, just see how glorious is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The greatly sinful Ajamila chanted only to call his son, not knowing that he was chanting the Lord's holy names. Nevertheless, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, he remembered Narayana, and thus he was immediately saved from the ropes of death. Purport. There is no need to conduct research into the significance of the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. The history of Ajamila is sufficient proof of the power of the Lord's holy name and the exalted position of a person who chants the holy name. The history of Ajamila is sufficient proof of the power of the Lord's holy name and the exalted position of a person who chants the holy name incessantly. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised, Harir Nama, Harir Nama, Harir Nameva Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva, 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 Gatir Anyatha. In this age of Kali, no one can perform all the ritualistic ceremonies for becoming liberated. That is extremely difficult. Therefore, all the Shastras and all the Acharyas have recommended that in this age, one chant the holy name. So, in this chapter, this is the chapter entitled Yamaraj instructs his messengers, the Yamadutas who had gone to bring Ajamila, and Ajamila was supposed to be punished for all the sinful deeds that he had done, but somehow or other he chanted the holy name of Narayana. Although he called out to his son, because his son was named Narayana, he was saved from death. He was saved from all that he was supposed to undergo. Hellish conditions were waiting him because of so many sins he had committed. But that one holy name, Narayana, calling, and that also not calling out the Lord, but calling out his son. But because it was the Lord's holy name, when he called out Narayana, it is mentioned here, he remembered Narayana, and therefore, Mrityu Pashad Amuchyata. Amuchyata, he was delivered, he was freed from the ropes of death. Somehow or other, he remembered Narayana. So this is the goal in life. Janma labha para pumsam ante Narayana smritihi. And this is exactly what Ajamila attained, just by calling out the name. So Prabhupada also in many places mentions, if you want to remember the Lord, chanting is must. It is these 16 rounds of chanting that we do every day, and the more attentively we do every day, the more we will be able to remember the Lord at the time of death, which is the goal in life. This is real knowledge. So Ajamila was able to remember. So here this verse is Namocharana Mahatmyam. So Yamaraj is instructing his messenger. This is a very instructive verse. So what is the instruction Yamaraj is giving to all of us? Namocharana. Nama Ucharana. You have to pronounce the holy name loudly. That is why they said you have to chant the holy name. Chanting is ucharana. So by chanting the holy name, Nam Ucharana, Mahatmya means the exalted position of this chanting of holy name. Holy name of what? Harihe, Nam Ucharana Mahatmyam Harihe, of the holy name of Hari. Pashyata Putrakaha. He's saying, just see, Pashyata, just see the Mahatmya of chanting the holy name, that Putraka, although he called out to his son, and who called out? Ajamilo api. Api means this Ajamila also, because Ajamila was a greatly sinful person. Even this sinful person, just by chanting the holy name of Narayana, Yenaiva means by this chanting, what happened? Mrityu Pashad Amuchyata. He was saved from the ropes of death. We have been given this human form of life so that once again we do not enter into another 84 lakh species. Because if we enter into another 84 lakh species, even a human species, then birth, death, old age, disease continues. We continue in the cycle of birth, death, old age, disease and suffering. So the goal of human life is Mrityu Pashad Amuchyata, to be saved from the ropes of death. Means get liberated, go back to the spiritual world. And that's exactly the position that Ajamila was able to attain. And Prabhupada is writing here, we need not conduct research into this in the purport. He begins like this: there is no need to conduct research into the significance of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Why there is no need to conduct research? Research means you want some proof, want to find out what is the fact. That's why we do research. So Prabhupada is writing, the history of Ajamila is sufficient proof of the power of Lord's holy name and the exalted position of a person who chants the holy name incessantly. So we have to come to that stage of chanting the holy name incessantly. And the history of Ajamila is sufficient proof. And then he writes, so it is advised in the scriptures, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Harir Nama, Harir Nama, Harir Namaiva Kevalam. Kalau Nasteva, 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 Gatiranyatra. There is no other way, no other way, no other way to get liberated from this sinful age called Kali with so many vices except chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name. And Ajamila is a sufficient proof, wonderful proof. He was the most sinful man and he attained liberation. Namocharana, while chanting the holy name of the Lord, he gave up his life. Is there any other devotee that you can remember who gave up his life exactly like this? While chanting the holy name, like Ajamila, chanting the holy name, he gave up his life. Yes. So, Haridas Thakur, so here Prabhupada is giving no need to conduct research. This Ajamila, history of Ajamila is sufficient proof. We have yet another proof, Haridas Thakur, who passed away, who was here, who manifested his earthly pastimes 500 years ago, and his samadhi is there, all, his chanting beads are there, and all other things are there connected with Haridas Thakur, and we can actually go to that place in Jagannath Puri near the seashore. The Haridas Thakur Samadhi is there, and he too had left his body very gloriously chanting the holy names of Lord Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was living in Jagannath Puri during the later years, and while he was living in Puri, after he took sannyas, he went to Puri the last 24 years. And while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was living in Puri, he was enjoying all day the Sankirtana pastimes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, while he was living in Puri, he had two category of activities. One activity that he would perform during the daytime and another during the night time. So during the daytime, Mahaprabhu would be absorbed in chanting and dancing along with all the devotees. And during the night time, he would be absorbed in relishing the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna with his devotees. Transcendental and confidential pastimes of Radha and Krishna during the night time. This was very confidential. He would not discuss it with anybody. And this he would do with Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Raya. And as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advanced in age, as years passed by, when he would be hearing these pastimes, these confidential pastimes of Radha and Krishna, he would go into ecstasy. And there would be transcendental symptoms all over his body. Tears from the eyes, and hair standing on end, and becoming, going in trance. And these symptoms would increase day after day. And especially it would gain momentum during the night time. And so Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Raya would always be in the company of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Always, because Mahaprabhu was, he was going through these transcendental feelings, and just by chanting Namocharana, he was just by chanting the holy names of the Lord and by hearing the pastimes of Krishna, he would go into such a state. So these two devotees would never leave Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They would always be together. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had one servant called Govinda. And Mahaprabhu would always visit Haridas Thakur almost every day. Haridas Thakur was not allowed to enter the temple of Jagannath Puri because he was born in the Muhammadan family, and somehow that's a custom of Jagannath temple that they don't allow them. So Mahaprabhu said, no, you respect whatever is the custom of the Jagannath temple. You don't worry. Krishna will come and see you. And actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going and visiting Haridas Thakur every day. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go to Jagannath temple and have darshan of the Lord, he would, after having darshan of the Lord, he would visit Haridas Thakur. So as Prabhupada writes, that Jagannath was personally coming to the house of Haridas Thakur. And whenever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go, Haridas Thakur, Namocharana. He was constantly chanting the holy names of the Lord. So one day, the servant of Haridas Thakur the servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes to meet Haridas Thakur with some Jagannath Prasadam. And Haridas Thakur was in his room, but he was not sitting and chanting that day. He was lying down and chanting. And he was chanting softly. So Govinda gave Haridas Thakur some Mahaprasadam and he said, look Haridas, please get up. I have got Jagannath's Mahaprasadam, please honor. So Haridas Thakur said, today I am not going to honor, today I am going to fast. So Govinda was surprised. Why is he saying I'm going to fast? Because he would be he would get up immediately when Jagannath Prasadam was present. So Haridas said, no, today I have not finished chanting the number of rounds that I have taken a vow. Haridas would chant 3 lakh holy names. 64 rounds, we chant 16 rounds, he would chant 64 into 3. 192 rounds every day. So I have not finished chanting my holy name, so I should not honor Mahaprasadam. But then you have got Mahaprasadam, how can I refuse also? I should not eat because I have not chanted, but because you have brought Mahaprasadam, how can I refuse? So he was in a dilemma like this. So that was his thing, that I should not, I should finish my rounds first. So 16 rounds that we have got, we must finish it at any cost. This is the lesson that is coming up. So anyway, Haridas Thakur, he just took a little bit of Jagannath Mahaprasadam and he honored it, and that was the end. And then Govinda goes back and he reports to Mahaprabhu that Mahaprabhu, Haridas is not feeling well. He was saying like that. So next day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to visit Haridas Thakur. And he asks Haridas Thakur, how are you? How are you feeling? So Haridas says, Mahaprabhu, my body is okay, but my mind and intelligence is not sound. That was his reply. So Mahaprabhu asked, your mind and intelligence is not sound? So may I please know what is the disease that you are having and what you are going through? So Haridas said, I am not being able to complete the vow of chanting 3 lakh holy names. So Prabhupada writes in the commentary, it is very Haridas Thakur, who had taken such a big vow of 3 lakh holy name, he is not able to finish and he is thinking I am diseased. Actually, he was not diseased, he was a liberated person. But he's thinking like that. Because he had taken up a fixed number of rounds that he was supposed to chant, he was unable to complete, and because of that, he's thinking that he is diseased and he's saying, my mind and intelligence is not well. Actually, it's not so, but he's feeling like that. So this is how we should feel. If I'm not chanting my 16 rounds every day, I should think that my mind and intelligence is not okay. Because finally, 16 rounds is, when you chant these rounds nicely, that is what makes your mind and intelligence spiritual. And that's when your mind and intelligence is okay. So mind and intelligence being okay is 2 levels. 1 level of mind and intelligence being okay means this material mind and intelligence. A body is okay, mind and intelligence is okay. Okay in that material sense. So it's completely materially infected. But if the mind and intelligence has to be really okay, then these 16 rounds have to be completed properly. Then we will have proper mind and intelligence. And that is why Haridas Thakur said, my disease is, body is okay, but mind and intelligence is not okay because I am not completing my fixed number of rounds. You see? The Goswamis also, Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gana Natibihi Kalavasani Kritau. Sankhya Purvaka. They had a particular Sankhya. The number of rounds they had taken was Sankhya Purvaka, and you have to complete that. Nama Gana Natibi, the holy name, chant, all that should be done in scheduled measurement. So sometimes people say, I chant. Whenever I get time, I chant. But no, because you don't know how much you are chanting. That's why Prabhupada has given us this chanting mala and the bead bag scheduled. Because this is what the Goswamis taught us. This is what Namacharya Haridas Thakur taught us. This is what our Acharyas have taught us. And so this is what we have to remember. We have to learn. Once some devotees asked Prabhupada, what is more important? Chanting or reading? So devotees are waiting for an answer. Prabhupada will say reading or chanting. Prabhupada says both are equally important, but you must complete your 16 rounds. So then when Haridas said like this, so Mahaprabhu understood that, Mahaprabhu said, Haridas, why are you struggling so hard to finish all your rounds? You've chanted enough and you're actually a liberated soul. You're such an exalted soul. You should not chant so much, which was the fact. But Haridas, when Mahaprabhu started glorifying him, you see how Haridas thought about the glorification that he received from Mahaprabhu. Who is glorifying? Not an ordinary person. Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But what did Haridas say? He applied that verse, Trinadapi Shunichena Taroriva Saishna. Haridas started saying, no, please, you are creating an illusion by calling me an exalted soul. I am not at all an exalted soul. I am the most fallen. I am the most abominable. And you are calling me an exalted soul? Not at all. It's not true. And then he uses a word, he says, I am adrishya asprishya. During those days, the caste system was very much prevalent. So, there were some untouchables. Haridas was considered to be an untouchable because of his past that we know. So he was asprishya. He was considered to be untouchable, but Mahaprabhu embraced him because he was not untouchable. Anybody who touched him would get purified because he was a completely pure devotee. So Haridas is saying, I am not only asprishya, I am adrishya also. Adrishya means, if you see me, I am so fallen that if somebody sees me also, he will get contaminated. See, this was the mentality of Haridas Thakur, and we must always remember with what consciousness we should conduct our spiritual duties and how I should think of myself in Krishna consciousness. Haridas, the most exalted person, is considering himself to be unseeable, untouchable. So sinful he is considering. What are we? We are actually more fallen. We are so much fallen. How fallen we are, we know. But many a times we think, oh, I am great, I am doing big service, I am this, I am that. The day we understand our actual position of how contaminated I am, how fallen I am, that day, that's a big realization. But mind is such, because we all came here to this material world to enjoy. That enjoyment tendency is there, I want to lord over. But Dasa Dasanuda, the more fallen you feel yourself, the more fallen you become. That's why Tranadapi Taroriva, Tranadapi Sahishnuna, more tolerant than, more lower than the blade of grass, more tolerant than the tree. That should be our consciousness. So then Mahaprabhu said, okay, Haridas, you have any desire? So Haridas said, Mahaprabhu, yes, I have a desire. And my desire is, I think that you are going to wind up your Leela on this planet Earth very soon. So Mahaprabhu, my desire is that before you wind up your earthly pastimes, you please give me permission to leave my body. Sorry. You please give me permission to leave my body. Because Mahaprabhu, I cannot tolerate seeing the closing chapters of your pastimes. So before you wind up your pastimes, I want that you give me permission, you allow me to leave this body. So Mahaprabhu tells him, Haridas, you are so exalted, you are a pure devotee. If this is your wish, then Krishna will surely fulfill. Krishna will definitely fulfill the wish of a pure devotee. But Haridas, if you leave before I leave, then I will be bereft of your association. So how can that be? What will happen to me? See, this is how Mahaprabhu is thinking. So to that Haridas responds, no, Mahaprabhu, you are again creating a big illusion. You are thinking you'll be bereft of my association. There are so many thousands and thousands of devotees who are so much more exalted than me. They are worthy of sitting on my head. I am nothing. I am the most fallen. And then he compares himself to, like, he says that just like if an insignificant insect dies, is there any loss to anybody? Or if an ant dies, is there any loss in this material world? So I am like that. So please do not think me to be like that. I am the most fallen. And Mahaprabhu was just smiling. And then this was his prayer, Haridas's prayer. His prayer was, Jivvai Uchcharimu Tomar Krishna Chaitanya Naam. By my tongue, Jivvai Uchcharimu, I should chant Krishna Chaitanya Naam. Eimate Mora Icha Chadimu Paran. So my desire is, like this, I should give up my life. So Mahaprabhu just heard this, and then he goes back because Mahaprabhu had to attend to his noon duties, and then he comes back the next day morning to meet Haridas Thakur. This was the day that Haridas Thakur was going to leave his body. So Mahaprabhu comes the next day morning, meets Haridas in his kutir and asks Haridas, so how are you feeling? What is your desire? Then Haridas had already mentioned all these things to in the previous day to Mahaprabhu. So Haridas he just said simply, Mahaprabhu, whatever you desire, whatever you wish. And then Mahaprabhu starts chanting congregational kirtan. All the devotees had come that day. Mahaprabhu had called all of them, come, we will all go and meet Haridas together. So all the devotees were chanting, and Vakreshwar Pandit was dancing, and many other devotees had come, and there was a tumultuous kirtan happening in Haridas Thakur's place. And then all the devotees, first Mahaprabhu starts glorifying Haridas Thakur. So Mahaprabhu, the way Mahaprabhu was glorifying Haridas Thakur, it is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. the enthusiasm and how ecstatically Mahaprabhu was glorifying Haridas Thakur, he was glorifying as if Mahaprabhu had got 5 mouths. That is the way Mahaprabhu was praising Haridas Thakur. And hearing the praises of Haridas Thakur from the mouth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everybody was stunned with wonder. This is Haridas Thakur, who was Namera Mahima Korilo Prakash. This was Jaya Jaya Haridas, Namera Mahima Korilo Prakash. And then all the devotees started glorifying Haridas Thakur. But Haridas Thakur, he was just constantly chanting and thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So finally, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sitting in front of Haridas Thakur. Both of them were facing each other. And Haridas Thakur, he was thinking of the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he captured the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and made an impression of that lotus feet in his heart. And he kept that lotus feet in his heart. And then with his 2 eyes, his eyes are compared to like 2 bumblebees. The bumblebees, they drink nectar from lotus flowers or from, nice flowers. So Haridas's 2 eyes, which were like bumblebees, he fixed them on the lotus face, on the beautiful lotus face of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he was constantly absorbed in drinking the nectar from the lotus face of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his 2 eyes. And so in his heart, the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, from his eyes, he is fully absorbed in seeing the beautiful face, and from his mouth, from his tongue, he was loudly chanting the holy names of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in that state, he gave up his body. Haridas Thakur ki. So here it is said, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shabda Karite Ucharana. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shabda Korite Ucharana Namera Sahita Prana Kaila Utkramana. Nama Sahita, along with chanting the holy name, Prana Kaila Utkramama. He gave up his life. So this was the way Haridas Thakur left his body. And then when he left his body, there was a tumultuous, Hari Bol, and all the devotees were constantly chanting. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at that time, he picked up the body of Haridas Thakur. It was no ordinary body, it was the body of a pure devotee. He picks up his body and he starts dancing with the body of Haridas Thakur. You have seen there's a painting in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and all the devotees are chanting and loudly, doing kirtan. And then all the devotees, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Haridas's body and all the devotees together, they go on a procession with his body. And Swarup Damodar was the one who informed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu of some rituals that has to be done. They did that, and then they go to the sea and they bathe the body of Haridas Thakur in the sea. And that's how the sea of Jagannath Puri is not an ordinary sea. Mahaprabhu declares that from today onwards, after Haridas Thakur takes a dip in the ocean, from today onwards, this sea is a pilgrimage, is a tirtha. And all the devotees, they sprinkle the water on their head, the water from the body of Haridas Thakur, and they drink that water. And then you have seen Haridas Thakur Samadhi. It is there on the banks, on the shores of the sea. Of course, now because of the shores have reduced, but earlier that time, it was actually the shore, the seashore. And so they dig up the sand and they dig up the sand and they put Haridas Thakur's body inside that, and they put a lot of Jagannath Prasadam on the body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Many devotees place sand, they throw sand on the body of Haridas Thakur, and they place Jagannath's silken ropes, because Jagannath is tied with that, Jagannath's clothes, Jagannath's garland, and they cover it, and they construct a platform, and then they all do kirtan. And then after all this is done, there's a big Nagar Sankirtan happens in Jagannath Puri. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu leads that Nagar Sankirtan, and then Mahaprabhu personally goes to all the shopkeepers and informs him, we are doing a festival of Haridas Thakur's passing away, so I request you to please give me some prasadam. So the moment the shopkeepers hear this, that Mahaprabhu is coming and asking for prasadam to distribute it to all the devotees as a part of the glorious passing of Haridas Thakur, all the shopkeepers come and give all the prasadam. It became so much that was overwhelming. Then Sarup Damodar is trying to manage. He says, no, just each one of you give 4 palmfuls. See how eager they were to serve the Lord. Everybody comes and starts offering. That was too much. So then they give some 4 palmfuls, and that itself is like a huge quantity of prasadam. And then prasadam is served to all the devotees. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is personally serving prasadam to all the devotees. And Mahaprabhu, when he serves prasadam, he cannot serve in small quantity. That is whatever you call it. Mahaprabhu doesn't know how to serve small. Prasadam means it should be served nicely, served in big quantity. So it is said Mahaprabhu was serving the quantity of prasadam to each person as if 5 people were supposed to eat that. 5 times prasadam Mahaprabhu was serving. So that day was a very special day. Of course, we should not eat 5 times prasadam, by the way. We are not that exalted souls. Our formula is what? Half. Right? Eat half prasadam, 25% by empty, 25% by water. But anyway, that was a different pastime. So everybody eats also 5 times that day, and everybody is very happy. And then Mahaprabhu, all those who participated in the festival, Mahaprabhu offers them a benediction. He says, I'll offer everyone a benediction. So what was the benediction? Benediction was offered to whom? Anyone who participated in that festival of glorious passing away of Haridas Thakur, anybody who chanted and danced in front of Haridas Thakur, anybody who offered sand on the body of Haridas Thakur, and anybody who partook the Mahaprasadam served during the festival, Mahaprabhu said he will quickly attain the shelter of Lord Krishna. And then, so like this, there was a very nice festival, and then everybody went home, Mahaprabhu also, with a mixed feeling of distress and happiness. Happiness because Haridas attained such a glorious position, and distress because they all lost the association of the Namacharya, pure devotee Haridas Thakur. So finally, Mahaprabhu said, this is what he tells about Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was basically just engaged in chanting the holy name. But the title he received by Mahaprabhu is this. Mahaprabhu tells, Mahabhagavata Haridas Parama Vidwan. Mahabhagavata Haridas Parama Vidwan Ei Saubhagyate Lagi Age Karilo Paran. So Mahabhagavata Haridas Parama Vidwan. So Prabhupada writes, so Prabhupada is explaining, how is he Parama Vidwan? Haridas Thakur was only chanting the holy name. To chant 3 lakh name, the whole day will go. You can sleep only 1.5 to 2 hours and do nothing else. So how was he Parama Vidwan? So Prabhupada explains, Haridas Thakur is mentioned here as the most learned scholar, Parama Vidwan. Actually, the most important science to know. We're all trying to learn so much. Learn science, this, that. The most important science to know is the science of getting out of the clutches of material existence. Mrityu pashad amuchyate. Saved from the ropes of death. This is the most important science. To get out of the clutches of material existence. Anyone who knows this science must be considered the greatest learned person. Not just a learned person, the greatest learned person. Anyone who knows the temporary situation of this material world and is expert in achieving a permanent situation in the spiritual world, who knows that the Supreme Personality of God is beyond the jurisdiction of our experimental knowledge. The purport is written, you should not, this is enough, we should not try to do research work. Is understood to be the most learned scholar. Haridas Thakur knew the science perfectly, therefore he is described in this connection as Parama Vidwan. So this is what Haridas Thakur was. He Nam Ucharana, while chanting the holy names of the Lord, he gave up his life, and he is being called as Parama Vidwan. So actually, that's why it says now that which is that verse from the Bhagavatam, which talks about the intelligent chant the holy name, Sankirtana. Yagnae Sankirtana prayer yajantihi sumedhasaha. Sumedha, the most intelligent people are those who are doing yagna of Sankirtana. So our constant effort, this human life is meant for chanting the holy name, Nam Uchcharana, loudly chanting the holy name, attentively chanting the holy name. Attentively means hearing the holy name, because we must know that there is no other higher philosophy than this. And this human life is meant for practicing, not only practicing this philosophy, but perfecting this philosophy, so that at the time of death I can chant, I can remember Krishna, and I leave my body, and that is the ultimate perfection, and that is the only purpose we have been given this human form of life. If we get too much entangled in doing this, doing that, thinking of different things, trying to adjust this situation, trying to adjust that situation, there will be no adjustment of situation. If one situation will get adjusted, something else will get disturbed. So we should not get so much, just try to do a basic minimum duty, but not forget the most important duty of chanting the holy name. Here it is mentioned incessantly. At least we should be consistently, in the stage that we are in, we should be consistently chanting 16 rounds, attentively hearing it, because finally, at the end of life, this is the only thing that is going to matter. Bhajan karo, sadhan karo, murte janle hoy. When you die, then all that you have done, your bhajan, sadhan, or everything that you have done, will finally be tested at that time. Whether you can remember Krishna, whether you can chant the holy name, this is all that matters. So here we see Yamaraj instructing his messengers that yes, this is the glorious position of chanting the holy name, loudly chanting, and anyone who chants it will be saved from the ropes of death, which is the goal of life. We'll end here. Grantra Srimad-Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.